Gundam isn't just an anime. It's war, politics, capitalism, and childhood trauma all disguised as a toy commercial. A toy commercial that made billions. And depending on where you live, it's either a pop culture icon or that one mech show that Toonami aired once. But here's the part they don't tell you. Gundam started as a failure. It bombed so hard it got canceled before the first season even ended. So how did Gundam go from flop to one of the biggest media empires on Earth? And more importantly, does it still matter in 2025? So today, we're unpacking the billion-dollar blueprint behind Gundam, from anime to model kits to marketing mind games. And yes, we're gonna talk about the real reason why Americans never really got into it the way Japanese did. So I'm Remy, this is some filler, let's get into it. So the year is 1979. Gundam launches an anime that tried to do the impossible, tell a good war story, with giant robots. Before this, mech shows were all about superpowered robots fighting evil monsters. You had catchphrases, transformations, Saturday morning cartoon logic. But Gundam flipped all that and asked, what if the tech was military grade? What if the kids were the soldiers? What if it wasn't just robots punching stuff? What if it was a war drama with real consequences? It turns out that What If was nothing because nobody cared, nobody watched it. The original series of Gundam was canceled before all 43 episodes actually all aired. And given the hindsight we have now, that is hilarious. But thankfully, Bandai saw something different. Bandai saw something everyone else missed, the potential of the machines off the screen. But we'll get back to that later on. For now, let's talk about the inspiration behind these metal titans. Gundam wasn't just inspired by cool tech, it was born from the anxieties of a post-World War II Japan, the fear of militarization, the emotional scars of war, and the Cold War arms race. Tomino, the creator, wasn't writing escapism, he was writing about how people justify war to children. These robots weren't just saviors, they were tools of an empire. But then, plot twist, the kids loved it anyway. Turns out people love mecha. Kids love mecha, adults love mecha, people love mecha. Because even if it's heavy, these robot designs are sick. And you know what else about Gundam that makes people sick? The in-universe timeline of Gundam. So here's the thing. Gundam feels like it has more timelines than the MCU at this point. Universal Century, Cosmic Era, After Colony, Anno Domini. I know I didn't say that right. There's no way I said that right. We're going to throw it up here.
Anno Domini.
Wow, that's how you pronounce that? Oh, that's so informative. Thank you so much, Google. You're the best. What would we do without you? Anyway, and technically, I'm not sure if this counts, but there might be a build timeline. Not sure if that's actually a thing or not. Regardless, though, the list keeps growing. And if you try to understand it all at once as a first-timer into the franchise, I recommend just reading One Piece instead. It's less confusing and just as much content. Thankfully, though, you don't have to start reading One Piece, and you definitely don't have to go into over 2 decades worth of Gundam lore to enjoy Gunplas. The cool part is, you can build a Gunpla without knowing a single thing about the anime. Snap some plastic together, make some cool poses, feel accomplished, done. However, and this is where things kind of get a little bit spicy, sometimes the Gundams just hit a bit harder when you see the shows. For example, we have Gundam 0000, whatever you want to call it, and the hero Gundam of this one is Exia, which is so sick it's dumb. And also, he gets a cloak for no reason. Okay, I mean, like, I know why he gets the cloak, but like, he's a robot in space. It's not cold, it's a machine, but it just has it, and it's cool. So say it with me now, things in animes that have cloak for no reason are just cool. There is no science behind it, it is just a vibe check and they pass it every time. But the Gundam anime is more than just aesthetic. It's more than just seeing the Gundams move, it's more than just seeing incredible fights. The music direction and sound design in the anime kinda go crazy. For example, you have Iron Blood Orphans. The season 1 opening is amazing. Raise Your Flag by Man with the Mission fits the theme of the show so well it kinda hurts. Like physically, I'm in pain from how good this is. The way the opening starts and you see the main character grayed out, looking down, holding a gun, and you think he's just standing there in a puddle of what you think is water, and then you hear the first Raise Your Flag. A foot comes down, slides into the puddle, and the world gains color, and it turns out it's not a puddle of water, it's a puddle of blood, which fits the tone of the anime to a T. And then you have the sound design. Whenever Barbados swings his mace and you hear it hit something metallic, you can hear the crunching of steel on steel, and it is amazing. Those are just some of the incredible things you can get from watching the anime. The music, the build-up, the existential dread, it's the full package. But to play devil's advocate, not all Gundams are created equal. One man's trash is another man's treasure. For me, there's no greater trash than Gundam Seed Destiny, or Seed in general. Like, no kidding, I genuinely hate Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed Destiny so much. I, with all my infinite wisdom, decided to watch both seasons of the show during finals week in undergrad. And should I have been studying? Yes. Did I regret watching it? Also, yes. Should I have been doing literally anything else? Once again, yes. Unfortunate for me though, this is the timeline where I did not do that, and I decided to spend 3 days marathoning Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed Destiny. And the dumb part is, it's not like I even liked it by the end of Seed. I was actually getting mad at all the characters, and by Destiny, I wanted to punch my laptop. But but I was in too deep and I had to see it through, and I regretted every second. I was just on a Gundam high at the time, so prior to this, I had just got done watching Build, IVO Season 1, we don't talk about Season 2, Age, Wing, OO, and I was like, let me try Seed, and I just had an all-around bad time with it. So that sucks. But hey, you know, at least I passed my midterm, so that was cool. But I just felt like I needed to actually emphasize how much I literally could have been doing anything else. Touching grass, sleeping, I don't know, reading a book. No, instead I was stuck watching Destiny, hating on a bunch of teenagers, but you know, it's whatever at this point. All I want to say is, the anime comes with a bunch of highs and lows, good and bad, so with this in mind, watch it at your own risk, but you can't say I didn't warn you beforehand. Anyway, moving on from the anime, let's talk about the Gunplas and how they work in the grand scheme of things. Let's get back to the toys. So by 1980s, the Gundam anime was not doing so hot, so Bandai, being the business-savvy company that they are, looked at this dying IP and thought, yo, what if we just sold the robots? And whoever was the genius that brought this idea up, I hope your karma is beautiful, I hope you're having a wonderful day, that you've never stepped on a Lego a day in your life. You deserve nothing but happiness. And with this genius idea in the tuck, they launched the plastic model kits, aka Gunplas. And suddenly the show got a second life. Reruns started airing. The model kits sold like crazy. The anime became marketing for the toys instead of the other way around. And because of this, the more kits sold, the more anime they made. And at some point, it got kind of meta when this show was about model kits being sold as model kits. That's the build timeline. And once again, I'm not sure if it's an official timeline or not. Hopefully someone will let me know in the comments. But moving on from model kits, let's talk about model kits. Gunpla isn't just merch, it's lifestyle. There's actual levels to this, and I mean like actual levels. Like, here, I'll explain the levels real fast. You start off with entry grade, which is like Gundams for babies, then you move to high grade, which is an actual casual starter kit. Actual casual, that's anyway. Real grade, which makes your fingers bleed but your shelf look amazing. Master grade is when your paycheck starts to magically disappear and you just don't know why, and it's definitely not because of the Gunplas. And then you have perfect grade, which is a warning sign from your bank account that these kits aren't just collectibles, they are now an investment for your 401k, and do not scratch these. And now you know the levels of Gunpla. Hooray, you did it, great job. Now how do you build one of these things? Okay, that's easy. First off, thank you for asking, I very much appreciate you asking me. Secondly, get you some pliers. Do not, I repeat, do not use your fingers to snap the pieces off the runner. You will be excommunicated by everyone who's ever made a Gunpla if you do this. Please do not do that. So yeah, once again, you cut them out the runners, then you snap them together. Pretty simple. But if you want to be a bit extra, and FYI, if you're buying anything above a real grade, you want to be extra. You should look into panel lining, top coating, and decaling your Gunpla. Because, you know, if you're paying that much money for it, you gotta do it right. And magically, after all that, you're 8 hours deep and wondering where the sun went because the light was out when I started. But then it hits you. You built this thing. You took your time and your effort, and it all went into making this. And it looks good. Or you can be like me and do something dumb. For speaking for myself, the first time I ever got a Gunpla, I didn't know where to start, so I just picked one at random, and it was during the pandemic, so your boy had a bit of a stimulus. You feel me? A little bit of that stimulus check was still in the account, so I bought the most expensive one I could find, and that was a master grade Astro Blue frame. And I have never known defeat like this before. When I tell you, that thing kicked my ass, it literally up and down the street. Like, it got so bad, I got to a point where I was busting out YouTube videos on how to build it. I was using Google Lens to translate the kanji into English because it wasn't in English, it was in Japanese. And I was just lost. I was defeated, bro. It was bad. It was rough. And after almost 2 weeks of trying, I'm not gonna lie to you, I heard that bell and I threw in the towel. I was cooked, washed, finito, dunno. Your boy was swimming with the fishes because of a plastic model kit. Thankfully though, the story doesn't end there. I met a friend who eventually agreed to take the rest of him, and he built it in his own time, and I'm so grateful for that, because I didn't want it to go to waste, because I was done. I emotionally had lost to this piece of plastic, and I had to throw in the towel. But he was like, yeah, I build master grades all the time. I'm like, dude, you're built different. He's also an engineering student, so it makes sense. But I was just like, dang, bro, you got it. Thank you so much. And he took it from me. So I'm glad this story has a happy ending, sort of. Not for me. I lost out on money and a Gunpla. But, you know, he got a free Gunpla, so that worked out for him, I guess. That to say, I do plan on running it back. The score cannot stay 1-0. I cannot be down forever to a plastic model kit. I'm gonna get my run back, and I'm gonna make a perfect grade, and I'm gonna do it on stream, on a video, or something after this, so y'all can see that, hey, he's not a complete idiot. Just so you know, putting this out here now, putting it into the ethos, the ether, whatever. Because that's the thing about Gunpla. You think you're just building one, but then you need to build another, and then it's on a different scale, and then it's about a shelf, and then it's about a second shelf, and maybe there's a display case with some LEDs, and before you know it, Gunpla doesn't just stay a hobby, it becomes an identity to some extent. In Japan, there are school clubs, tournaments, entire stores dedicated to it. Meanwhile, your cousin still thinks it's Legos for weebs. And he's not wrong. I mean, he is wrong, but he's not wrong. He's also just missing the point though. It's so much more than the models. Gundam doesn't just stop at plastic. It invades arcades, consoles, mobile apps. You have fighting games, strategy games. I'm pretty sure there's like some dating spin-off sim somewhere in Japan. Every piece of content feeds into the next. You watch the anime, you buy the games, you build the kit, you rinse and repeat. Unless you're Gundam Evolution, but we don't really like to talk about Gundam Evolution because no one also likes to talk about Gundam Evolution either. Yo, rest easy, soldier, you will be forgotten. On the other hand, something that is not easily forgotten is the Toonami run. The year's 2000. Gundam Wing aired in the US and confused the mess out of everybody. Teen politics, political intrigue, a war that made no sense but looked incredible, and all these factors combined struck the hearts of millions of kids, causing Gundam Wing merch to sell like crazy. Gunpla's actually sold in the US, but then it vanished. It was like Gundam Wing's whole impact disappeared overnight. And it could be because they decided to push Gundam War in the Pocket right after Wing, and nobody was rocking with War in the Pocket, because I don't remember anyone talking about that. But you know, I don't want to speak in absolutes. That could have just been my friend groups and them not liking it. But regardless, it just felt like after Wing, the momentum for Gundam in America just kind of flatlined. And a factor I believe that led into this kind of decay was the fact that Gundam Wing was a very well animated show. Shows followed after that, not so much. Then you had censorship. Toonami had to air censored version of Gundams because our little children brains couldn't handle mechs doing dangerous mech stuff. And finally, the one that kills all shows that were on cable back in the day, inconsistent scheduling. That's the biggest issue with things before streaming, is that you never knew when you had to catch something. You almost never saw the first episode of a show if you weren't there on launch day. And after that, good luck trying to find anything in order. It's horrible. That and probably SD Gundam Force probably didn't help a lot of people think this was cool. Because I know me personally, the next time I saw a Gundam anything after Wing was SD Force, and I was genuinely just super confused. How did we go from this to this? From this to this, from this to this. I did not like it, and I feel like this also turned off a lot of people from Gundam. And this leads to my hot take. Bandai has no idea how to sell Gundams to Americans. There's no central hub, there's no hype machine, there's no Netflix level push. All we got over here are just scattered releases on Crunchyroll, maybe a limited edition at Best Buy, and an amazing YouTube channel you should definitely check out after this video. Look at the name, here it is, look at this name right here, I put it underneath. Oh, look at it, it's so cool, go check this out. Anyway, besides these outlets, for a lot of people, this always stayed niche, only gaining traction from word of mouth, YouTube hobbies, and maybe a random Reddit thread here and there. And for a long time, that was it. But then something weird happened. Gunpla sales went up, like way up. And full disclosure, I'm sure the pandemic and everybody staying home looking for a new hobby definitely helped. But regardless though, sales went up all around the board, not just the US, also in Japan. Because while the anime was confusing, building robots was universal. That, and once again, dying from COVID or being inside and building plastic model kits is kind of like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. And I don't have a transition to the next part, so yeah. It was the early 2010s. It was around this time that Bandai had realized they had come to a crossroad. Their fans were getting older and older, but money kept getting younger and younger, and they wanted to bridge that gap. So they needed to figure out a way to sell model kits to the next generation. The solution were shows like Build Fighters and Build Divers. These weren't war stories, they were literal commercials with plots. If you're a fan of any generic Saturday morning cartoon, insert anything here, collectible game, you will like these. This gave an entryway for new fans to jump in without 40 years of lore. It was smart. But then the veterans were not feeling it. The old heads were mad. They're like, where's my trauma? Where's my moral ambiguity? And Build, Fighters, and Dive all responded with the power of friendship and good animation. And they ignored them. Don't worry, old heads, we gave you Thunderbolt instead. And baby, let me tell you, Thunderbolt is so good. Combining jazz and mecha is just cheating. And I hate that I love it so much. And none of my friends are into mecha. And I can't convince them to watch Thunderbolt. But Thunderbolt is so good. It's so good. See, but I'm having too much fun. I gotta bring it back down. I gotta bring it back to the pain. Every Gundam show is about a kid who didn't ask for this. It's about war, identity, loss, and the cost of technology, and new types. It's always about new types. Oh, and what's a new type, you may ask? Well, thank you for asking once again. You're asking so many great questions today. New types are cheaters. In every Gundam show, you will see the introduction of a new type. And hey, they might cheat themselves and they won't call it quote unquote a new type, but we all know it's a new type. It's just a new types, bro. I hate new types so much. Like, they're cool the first couple times, but then it's just like, oh man, you sure can do everything. Yep. Oh, he's a new type. That's why. Like, all right, cool. You got it. And at some point, it just feels like new type is a cop out to do literally whatever with whatever. keep it pushing. Back on topic. Char versus Honoro. When you break it down, it's just two ideologies punching each other in the face with giant mechs in space. Iron Blood orphans, child soldiers fighting for space capitalism. Gundam isn't just about cool robots, and a lot of people don't get that, which is such a shame. Especially over here in the West. There's too much lore, there's too many timelines, no consistent point of entry. Casual fans bounce off, but maybe that's okay. Because the people that do find Gundam over here, they stay for life. They build, they cry, they argue about Zeta. Because when you're in, you're in. And as someone who's had something niche they like hit mainstream, seeing people who don't care or know enough about the medium have hot takes, it kind of make my skin crawl a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But on the other hand, it's really cool seeing people watch Unicorn for the first time and ask, why don't all Gundams have funnels? And I gotta agree with them, they should have more funnels on Gundams. So in conclusion, Gundam is weird, it's complicated, it's a beautiful mess. It shouldn't have survived, but it did, because it grew with its fans. It told stories that mattered, and it gave you something to do with your hands when the world felt like it was falling apart. So if you ever built a kit, watched an episode, or just stared at a perfect grade wondering if it was worth your rent money, you're a part of the story now. Because it's not just about war machines punching each other in space, it's about survival, identity, rebellion, hope, and yet, sometimes deep space drama that makes you question your entire afternoon, but we've talked about its origins, the marketing, the Gunpla, the cultural divide between the West and Japan, the highs and lows of OO, and the super lows, low of Destiny and Seed. But here's what brings it home. As adults, hobbies get harder and harder to hold on to. And it's not because we stop loving them, but because life gets so loud. Bills, jobs, loss, expectations. Our time gets eaten up by things we never asked for. And slowly, our world shrinks into roles: employee, student, provider, whatever. But then, there's that one Saturday morning when you open up a model kit, you clip your parts, you sand, you paint, and piece by piece, you build something. And it's something you choose to make, not for work, not for grades, not for anyone else. And in that quiet little moment, you're not a tool in someone else's machine. You're the builder, you're the pilot, you're the storyteller. You're reminding yourself that you can be more than what the world boxed you into. Whether it's crafting a perfect pose or watching a bunch of space orphans find meaning in wreckage, there's no shame in loving something that gives you peace. No shame in carving out time to express yourself. If anything, you should be proud you found a way to hold on to something meaningful. Gundam lets you build your own armor, literally and figuratively. And in this chaotic world, that's not silly, that's survival. So I'm Remy, this was some filler, and if you like it, I hope to see you in the next one. Y'all be easy. Later. Okay, so heads up, I am super congested by the time I'm recording this, so if I sound weird throughout the entirety of this video, that is why. I am so sorry. But I had a schedule and I wanted to upload this within the time schedule I gave myself for it. So once again, yeah, if it sounds weird, it's just because I'm congested. My bad. Your boy can't breathe through his nose right now. So anyway, y'all be easy. Later.